We are just days away from the November midterm elections. The power in Washington hangs in the balance of your decision next Tuesday, right here at home too in North Carolina. So what are the deadlines? What do you need to do to vote? And who is on the ballot? Those are just some of the topics we're going to be covering for the next 30 minutes. We're going to be answering your election questions in real time. This is how you get your question to our expert. You're going to text that question. The number is 336-379-5775. Remember, your questions are anonymous, but you get it answered in real time. Today, we're joined by the Forsyth County Board of Elections Director, Tim Suji. So let's get right to it. The first foremost, what we need to know, when is the last bit that we can vote? Let's look at those deadlines so we don't miss it.
So we have the last day of early voting will be taking place tomorrow, Saturday, November 5th. Polls will close at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So for any voters that want to take advantage of the in-person early voting, they've got today and tomorrow to do that before Election Day. Additionally, we've got the absentee by mail return deadline, which is Election Day, November 8th. And so for any voters that still have their ballots, they need to make sure that they get it returned to the Board of Elections in person on Election Day by 5 p.m. or as long as it's postmarked by Election Day and received by Monday, November 14th, we can still accept those ballots and get it approved. The polls will be open on Election Day from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. and voters will have to vote. If there are any voters that are wishing to cast their ballot on Election Day, they'll need to make sure that they go to their designated precinct or polling place that day.
That's right. Okay. So, folks, no matter where you are watching from, your early voting may stop a little bit earlier than others, that kind of thing. So make sure you look at that if you are going to go early vote. It is Saturday, the last day. And the absentee ballots, they have to actually bring them to the county offices. They cannot bring them to the polls. Is that right on Election Day?
That is correct. If absentee voters are planning to return their by-mail ballots in person, they will need to do so at their county board of elections office. The poll workers out at the precincts on Election Day will not be able to accept those ballots.
Okay, and that is good to know. All right, so a lot of people are always wondering, all right, what do I need to bring with me so that I can vote?
Yep, just themselves. So the voting process in person is where the voter will appear at their polling site. They'll be asked to state their name and their address, and they'll be looked up and checked through the voter registration system or registration books, and their information will be verified by the precinct officials. They'll be given a authorization to vote application form for the voter to sign, and then be issued a ballot for them to, and it is paper ballots, so they will have to hand mark their ballot and then scan it through the tabulator.
That's right. And then you get your I voted sticker after you do that. For folks who are like, do I have to bring my driver's license? Do I have to bring my voter registration card?
No, there is no photo or voter identification requirement here in North Carolina. There's one exception to that rule, though. So for first-time voters, that when they register to vote, if they did not provide their driver's license number or last four digits of their social security number on their voter registration application, those voters will be asked to present some form of identification because we were unable to verify those two key pieces of information when they first registered to vote. This is a federal requirement. It's through the Help America Vote Act, or the HAVA law. And so that there is one exception to that ID requirement.
Okay, and that again is only first-time voters that have registered, and this is their first time voting. So everybody else should be fine to just go through the line and say their name and say their address. All right, so North Carolina, we're voting on a smattering of different things, and people should probably look at those sample ballots.
Absolutely. In fact, if you go to the State Board of Elections website, ncsbe.gov, they have a tool where you can, in fact, look up and verify your voter registration information to make sure that it's up to date. But additionally, you can view your personal sample ballot to see what contest you'll be voting for on Tuesday's election. Those tools are also available with your County Board of Elections website as well, but the State Board of Elections is the main source and is the main trusted source to provide you with that information.
All right, and I think that people at home think that they kind of know, well, I see all the commercials, I see all the ads, I know for sure who is on the ballot. But let's pull up the sample ballots that we have. We have them like side by side. There's a Guilford County and there is a Forsyth County sample ballot that we were going to pull up for you so that folks at home can see, you know what, some of them are front and back. So you're going to be looking at a lot of judges races. You might be looking at school board races. You might be looking at the appointment of the soil person. And you don't want to go in there without knowing those names.
That's right. Accessing your sample ballot through the State Board of Elections website is the best way to gain that information. And it allows you to be fully prepared to know what you're going to be voting on if you wait to vote on election day. One thing to keep in mind is you can print that sample ballot out, go ahead and pre-mark it, and you are permitted to bring that along with you when you go to vote in person, whether it's during early voting or on election day. You're allowed to bring your own sample ballot to use as a reference when you then go to mark your actual ballot.
Oh, that's really key. I had not heard that before, and that helps you because there are a whole bunch of different races there, so that way you don't have to keep in your mind, this is who I looked up, this is who I decided I wanted to vote for, that kind of thing. Okay. All right, we've got several more questions to answer for you as we head into Election Day. We're going to take a quick break. We want you to text us your questions, 336-379-5775, and we'll be right back.